Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 3 o'clock session with Emily from GoWP. She's going to be sharing with you some tips about how to get some better sales qualified leads. And so I'm just going to, she knows what she's doing. She knows she's done this before. I'm just going to pass over the stage and give her the floor.
Awesome. Thank you, Adrian. So hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me for my presentation today. Like Adrian said, I'm Emily Hunkler. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we'll get started. Okay. So thanks for coming. Today, during this presentation, we are going to dig into generating SQLs, sales qualified leads with evergreen content. This is a strategy we've been using at GoWP for several years now, and it's been working really well. And we'll talk about some of those numbers as we dig into it. But it keeps our sales team busy with a steady stream of inbound leads that are warm and ready to talk about purchasing decisions. And because we're a small team, it's a strategy that works because it's kind of a set it and forget it sort of system. So you don't need a marketing team and a content team and design. You don't need all of that. You need it once, right, for the start, and then it's set it and forget it. And it's been working, in our case, for 4+ years, the same piece of content. So we'll talk about that. We're going to dig into how we've implemented this strategy at GoWP and hopefully give you some ideas on how you can implement it in your business. So let's get started. First of all, who am I? So I'm Emily Hunkler, and I have been on the GoWP team 4.5 years now. Yeah. Currently, I oversee day-to-day operations as the COO, and we have an awesome team here at GoWP that I love being involved in all the aspects of the company. It's really fun to get involved with the service development products and all of that, and then our network of freelancers and pros and being involved there. But my background is definitely in marketing. So that's how I started at GoWP. It's where a lot of my passion is derived from. So whenever I have time to myself, I am diving into marketing initiatives for the business, checking in on how our kind of set it and forget it things are working, optimizing them, tuning them up, that sort of stuff. I live in Athens, Ohio. So it's a small little university town here in Southeast Ohio, and I absolutely love it. I've got 2 small children, and I love to do trail running, and I'm co-leader of our local Trail Sisters group here, which is really cool that we have that. So between kids, running, and overseeing operations, that's basically all I have time for these days, but it keeps me busy and happy. So that's me. All right, let's jump in. So sales qualified leads. In the sales pipeline, right, you typically have prospects, leads, marketing qualified leads, and sales qualified leads. So a sales qualified lead is a prospective customer that is ready to talk to a sales team or a salesperson or whomever. It's ready to talk to someone about buying. Typically, this lead has expressed interest, enough interest in your product or service that they're ready to move into your sales process. Usually, they have been researched and vetted by your marketing department and then handed off to your sales team. Like I said, at GoWP, we are a small team. So marketing department is a person, sales department is a person, and there's not always time for marketing or vetting and all of that sort of thing. So this is the HubSpot definition of a sales qualified lead. It's the bottom of your marketing funnel. You don't have a ton of time. You don't want to have all of your hours eaten up by tire kickers, right? So if the only kind of call to action you have on your site is schedule a call, you're going to be getting a lot of pointless calls. And if you don't have a marketing team, that's fine. You just need some time investment upfront or monetary investment upfront if you outsource the effort. And we'll talk about how you can create a strategy to qualify your leads and stop wasting time with tire kickers and start having more conversations with people who are ready to buy and less conversations with folks who don't have any intentions of buying from you. So you're out of business if you don't have a prospect. Zig Ziglar quote, and I'm a big Office Space fan, so I was kind of just looking for an excuse to use some Office Space memes. But agencies work on referrals. I'm going to be talking a lot about agencies because that's who we work with at GoWP. So it's what I know. And I know that agencies and our business also, a lot of our business comes from referrals by and large. And that's awesome. And it's effective because when you jump on a call and they say, oh, so-and-so client of yours recommended you to me, you know, right then, like, okay, it's a done deal. This is sold. I got it. And that's fantastic. But there are other sources for customers and clients. And it's so important to always be building your list because the time will come when things are slow and you have time to do some prospecting. And prospecting can be a lot easier when you have been collecting contact information from interested parties all along, even when you were busy working and delivering your services or your products, you're still building that list in the background. Because, for example, if you hire let's say sales pipeline is pretty thin and you know that you're going to have some extra time on your hands because the projects are finishing up. So you think, oh, I should hire someone to do sales, right? But if you don't have any leads to hand over to them, it's going to be an uphill battle for them. So if you hire someone to take sales work and prospecting off your plate and really ramp up your sales efforts, it's going to be a lot more effective if you have a long list of emails to hand off to them and say, have at it, they're yours, go sell some deals. But you don't have time to prospect, right? That's why we're talking about bringing in someone to do some sales development work. Could do that, or maybe you're not interested in that either, but you still don't have time to prospect because you're busy delivering the services. You're one person. You can't go to all the meetups and conferences and other networking events. And if you know the lead up to sales, right, your sales timeline, it's not a one-day sort of a thing. You might go to if you were at Michelle Frichette's presentation earlier talking about networking, you might go to a Chamber of Commerce meetup and meet, 5 businesses that need help with their websites, but you're not going to close them today. Conversations need to be had. They need to get to know you, trust you, have confidence in your abilities and your services. So if you're not doing that all along, and all of a sudden you have an empty sales pipeline, it's going to be a few months maybe before you close one of those from prospecting up until actually becoming an SQL and closing. So we're going to talk about how you can have prospecting done for you, creating a list in the background for when you have time to tap into it. And in some cases, might even be doing the closing for you, depending on your services or your product. So we're going to talk about letting your content do the work for you. So first, let's talk a little bit about content. I want to talk about 2 types of content. We have top of funnel content and bottom of funnel content. And the funnel here we're talking about is the marketing funnel. Top of funnel content, some people call it tofu, bottom of funnel, bofu. Top of funnel content is content that's created for traffic. These are topics with high volume searches, and the people searching for them are looking for general information, or they're just starting their research process. They're often not in the closing stages of a purchasing decision. So what you see there, blog posts, newsletters, templates you're sharing, that kind of content is top of funnel content. It's not helping people buy your services. If you're collecting emails, let's say you have a newsletter sign up, if you're collecting emails through a newsletter sign up, those are going to be prospects, right? They might be prospects, depending on the content that they sign up for. They might be leads, or maybe a little bit further in the marketing funnel if you know how your content performs. But for the most part, these are not the top of funnel content. Folks are not your SQLs. That would be the bottom of funnel content. So bottom of funnel content is content for people in the final stage of the buyer's journey. This is when your prospects are actively consuming content to make a purchase decision. So let's talk about a little example of a buyer's journey here. So a couple weeks ago, I was looking into content repurposing tools. So I wanted to find a tool for us to use for content repurposing. something that would take a blog post, turn it into maybe a little video, turn it into social media post, things like that. Just taking one piece of content and repurposing it for different mediums and platforms. So first thing I did is I asked for some recommendations. We have a Facebook community full of agency owners, and I asked them there saying, hey, what do you guys have? What do you use? What do you recommend? After getting some recommendations, I go check out those websites. Maybe I watch some demos on the website. And then I Google alternatives. That's I'm probably not alone in that, right? I check out what people recommend, and then I say, oh, I'm going to find an alternative to that and see what I'm missing. And maybe go to G2 or something like that and see the alternatives. Or what you see more and more these days are those platforms and those tools already have optimized pages that are comparing themselves to their competitors, so that you're not going to G2, you're going directly to their site and reading their comparisons, because that's what's showing up on the top of Google when you search an alternative. So you search for alternatives to the recommendations. I look for case studies because I like to see if one speaks to me, like my exact use case scenario, and I can read that and check it out and see kind of a use case that is exactly a one-to-one with what I'm trying to do. And then I might schedule a call or sign up for a free trial. So with something like that, it's probably going to be a free trial that you try for 7 days, or you might then schedule a call after that or something like that. So that is a buyer's journey of a motivated buyer, someone who's looking to find the right solution to their problem, and they're gonna purchase it. So bottom of funnel content, we just talked about it there. Highly optimized content, that was, the comparisons you see, case studies, reviews. So the comparisons are showing up top of Google search. I don't have to go to G2, I'm going directly to their pages. Case studies I'm checking out, reviews, demos, that sort of stuff, pricing pages. That is bottom of funnel content that is created for motivated buyers, people who are in the process of making their purchase decision. They're accessing that content. Now let's talk about evergreen content. So evergreen content is content that stays fresh for a long period of time. It makes sense, right? It's search optimized content, and it's topics that are always relevant to the reader. So some examples of evergreen content, and the ones I have on the slide here are ones that we'll dig into a little bit more as we go into the presentation. But how to sell website, see if I can go back. How to sell website maintenance plans, how to create a compelling case study, complete guide to outsourcing work and growing your business. This is content that doesn't go out of date. It's not really topical to a certain time of year or something like that, right? It's just how-to guides that are pretty much always going to be true. You might need to update them here and there, but it's evergreen content. Some other examples of evergreen content are your pricing page, product demos, webinars, comparison pages, case studies, all of that kind of stuff that we talked about before are some great examples of evergreen content. So now that we've talked about types of content and evergreen content, we want to talk about how you can identify topics that resonate with your audience. So on your site, you probably already have, some sort of pricing page or services page or something like that. Hopefully you have some case studies or reviews or something along those lines. If you have a product that you're selling, you have a demo, something there. So all of the content is available so that people who are making purchasing decisions, they can access that content and get the information they need. But how can you identify topics to create content that's going to resonate with your audience and generate leads for you? So it's going to be content that's so good and so needed by them that they're going to give you their email to get it. So when you're talking about content, you probably think SEO research is what we're going to dig into. But when it comes to this bottom of funnel content, you kind of have to ignore SEO search volume and SEO research. That's not the kind of research you need to do here. SEO research and search volume is very important to pay attention to when it comes to the top of funnel content. High volume keywords usually align with top of funnel content. And we'll talk a bit about that type of content later on, a little bit, we'll touch on it, because they do help support the bottom of funnel evergreen content that we're talking about here. But we're not going to dig in. This is not an SEO presentation, so we're not going to dig into it too much. So ignore search volume. You can see, you know, this tweet, okay, 0 volume keyword, now you're just showing off. You'll see that when you start creating content that doesn't, you try to use Ahrefs or SEMrush and see what the search terms are and all of that, and it's not giving you anything. It says 0 searches on this topic. Not true, that's not the case. So ignore that and save the keyword research for your top of funnel content. We are going to research in different ways to find the best topics for our audience. So you have to understand your audience and your prospects, and you should already have a good handle on this. So if you're already in business, you already have customers, you've sold your services or products, you've talked to your customers, hopefully you've done some case studies or something like that, you should have somewhat of a good handle on understanding their pain points, knowing their goals. What did your past customers or existing customers say to you when they were, what did they say they were looking for when they came to you? Was it that they needed a website built, or they wanted more brand recognition, or they wanted to grow their business, or they wanted an automated system to sell their products? What was their goal, right, in coming to you? And what is their biggest pain point? Were they burned out? Do they not have the technical skills needed? Their current system doesn't work. What did they say that their pain point was? What was their struggle? And dig in, you know, conduct some interviews, go into communities where your target audience hangs out and observe, you know, read past posts in those communities, read conversations that are being had. You know, you don't want to go into communities as like the vulture and jumping in and asking people, but you can observe, go into those communities where your audience exists and observe, see what they're talking about, see what their pain points are. There's Slack groups you can join that your target audience is a part of. You need to really understand your audience before you can go about creating compelling and effective content for them. So how did we do it? Now I'm going to kind of use GoWP as the case study for this presentation. You have to define your audience first. That's so important. Otherwise, you're really paddling upstream, and it's going to be very, very difficult, or at least not as easy as it can be if you know who your audience is. And that once you know, it can make it pretty easy. So when I first started at GoWP, we were selling our services to agencies and direct businesses. And that made marketing really hard. You never knew who you were talking to, whether it was to agencies or to business owners. And business owners can be any business, right? It could be really restaurants, funeral homes, gardening centers, anything. So it was impossible to know what you were marketing or who you were marketing to. And what kind of content they were looking for. It made it very difficult. That first year I was with GoWP, we went all in on agencies. So we stopped selling to direct businesses and went all in on agencies, our white label services. We were a business for agencies to help them grow, and they used our services to grow their agencies. And after we decided to do that, it was smooth sailing, knowing how to, who we were communicating with, and what they were looking for made everything so much easier. So first thing is definitely to define your audience so you know where to start your research. So once you have your audience picked out, then you need to understand your audience and their struggles. So at GoWP, we collect emails a few different ways. When people create a free GoWP account, so you can create your GoWP account, and it's something you create when you buy services from us, but we also have a knowledge base in there where folks can get lead magnets that they can use on their site, landing page templates, all these sorts of things. So that was one way people would create their GoWP account and get access to those sorts of resources for growth. We also have a Facebook community where we collect emails. So in order to get into our Facebook community, we ask for an email, and that helps us obviously collect emails, but it also helps us communicate with people and keep them updated on what's going on in the Facebook community and that sort of thing as well. And also then when they're scheduling a call from our website. So one of the main CTAs on the GoWP site is to schedule a call. And every time we collect an email from one of those sources, we ask the same question. So apart from name, email, website, team size, we always ask, what's your biggest pain point? Cross board, we always ask it. It's a required question. You have to answer it. And we ask these questions because the pain points help us develop content around that. If we know what our audience is struggling with, we know what we can help them with, right? So I have a Google Sheet that is full of pain points and struggles for agency owners. Whenever our copywriters need ideas for new posts, I'm sure you can guess where they go. They go to the pain points spreadsheet and develop content around that, because that is what our audience is struggling with. That is what we want to help with. And it's so important to us and all of our marketing efforts to know what those pain points are. And we started to see some recurring ones, obviously. Most of them, it's very rare that we see kind of a unique pain point. But there were two big ones. So those were recurring revenue and growing their agency beyond themselves. So we took those and created a couple of extensive, comprehensive guides, and we worked with our designers and our developers to kind of package them up as lead magnets. And now we're going to kind of dig into that. So here on this checklist, define your audience, understand your audience and their pain points, develop bottom of funnel content for those pain points that's helpful, optimize the content for search, which we'll talk about, and present that content to them while on site. And it has to be content that's good enough and compelling enough that they're going to give you their email for it. So here's one of our lead magnets, evergreen bottom of funnel content that's been generating SQLs for us. Recurring revenue. So this is a huge pain point. If you're running an agency, I'm sure you're familiar with it. If you're not struggling with it now, you probably were at some point. We knew that this was an important topic for our target audience because when we have agencies buying our white label website maintenance service, their goal is always to build up the recurring revenue stream, and better yet, beyond that, not be the person who has to deliver the ongoing service. So agency owners know that website maintenance is a no-brainer offer for clients. It's something that anyone with an online business or website needs. It's the backups, it's the security scans, the malware cleanup, the plugin updates, all of that. It's necessary. So offering that to your clients, it's a no-brainer, and it's really surefire way to build your recurring revenue and establish a healthy stream of recurring revenue for your agency. So we developed a guide called Selling WordPress Maintenance Plans, and it started as pop-up on the website. And I will tell you that this ebook has been a part of GoWP marketing since at least 2018 when I started with the company. We have updated it along the way, of course. It's been updated, but this content, this ebook, has been a part of generating SQLs for GoWP for longer, 4.5+ years, and it's still producing. We get leads daily from this pop-up and the landing page, but from this ebook, it's still producing SQLs for a maintenance service. So now that we have the bottom of funnel content lead magnet, which is gated and requires an email opt-in to get it, we also created the top of funnel content to support it. And that's something we create ongoing. We're always creating content around recurring revenue. Excuse me. We have blog posts around the topic of selling maintenance plans, the importance of recurring revenue, strategies for selling maintenance plans, add-ons and upsells to your maintenance plans, all of that sort of stuff. Webinars, blog posts, live streams, you name it. We create content around this topic ongoing always, because we know that it's an ongoing pain point for agency owners. And we also created a landing page for the ebook that performs just as well as the pop-up, because the landing page ranks in search engine results. So pop-ups do not rank, you're not going to get a pop-up as a search engine result, but the landing page for this ebook does rank for selling website maintenance plans, things like that. It ranks on Google, and people find the landing page for the ebook there. They'll go to it and say, oh, this is exactly what I'm looking for. I'll get this ebook. They give the name, email, and get the ebook in their email. And we get their email, and it's an automatic, this person's interested in figuring out how to sell maintenance plans for their agency. Let's get them on a call, that sort of thing. Following the opt-in, we have an email sequence that is built out and triggered by the form. And we'll talk a bit more about those sequences in a little bit as well. So if we look here, create your top of funnel content for search. So that's what's helping get people to the site, right? All of your top of funnel content, create the comprehensive ebook with the opt-in. And then we present this pop-up, as you can guess, on pages, on all the blog posts that revolve around recurring revenue, all the webinars, all of the bottom of funnel content for our maintenance plan. So the maintenance service page, pricing page, all of that sort of stuff, and then trigger the email sequence. And then here's another one. So this is our outsourcing work ebook. And the pain point for this one is the growing your agency beyond yourself. So this is the complete guide to outsourcing work and growing your agency. This book was developed around the pain point of growing your agency beyond yourself. And if you attended Michelle Frichette's talk earlier, you heard her talk about her agency of one. And there are a lot of agencies of one in our community. And we know that they all hit the point of time where they need to decide if they're going to grow or pass on work, right? So if you're one person, there's only so much you can do before you burn out. And it's really hard to say no to good work. But you get to a point where it's either, okay, I need someone to help me so I can pick up this new project, or they're going to go somewhere else. Or I just need to learn how to set my boundaries and say no and deal with the consequences. The struggle is real. We talk to a lot of people about this every day, and they're looking for guidance on the best way to grow their agencies. So many times the solution is in finding freelancers and contractors to help out when the workload is high, because that then enables them an easy out and a way to scale back when the work is slow. But if you've never onboarded a contractor or outsourced your agency work in any way, it can be scary, honestly. So people are coming to you because of your reputation. Maybe they're coming via referrals a lot of time. You don't want to then have someone else do that work for you and have it be subpar. So it's a really daunting endeavor for folks who haven't done it before. And we understand that. So because GoWP has services like the dedicated developer, copywriter, designer, VA, people will land on our site looking for those services. And this ebook is presented to them, the pop-up is presented to them while they're browsing those bottom of funnel content pages. So while they're learning more about our dedicated services, determining if it's a good fit for them, figuring out if it's something they think they could do, they're looking at the features of the service, what's the pricing, all of that, all of those bottom of funnel content pages that we have set up on the site will then present this pop-up for the complete guide to outsourcing work and growing your agency. And the thought is, when they see the guide for how to get started, they might think, oh, that's helpful content. I'll give that a read while I work through my decision. Bam, we've got their email. They're in SQL, ready to have a conversation with our team to discuss options and what working together would look like for them. So we get their email. Otherwise, without that ebook, many visitors would leave the site. We'd never know they were interested in our services unless they come back and schedule a call themselves. And as you know, when something is scary or daunting, some of us have it built within us to easily ask for help and talk with someone, right? Others of us do not. And maybe I wouldn't want to schedule a call because I'm like, oh, I don't know if this is the right thing to do. However, if we're able to have that conversation and maybe help them through the thought process, it can lead to a beneficial situation for everyone involved, obviously. So without this pop-up or this opt-in to give their email, we wouldn't know that we have an SQL browsing these bottom of the funnel content pages on our site, because they would come and then they would leave if they didn't take it upon themselves to schedule a call or reach out in any way. So here's some results. So I dug into our numbers a little bit, and we have 1,000 plus SQLs that have, as a result of these two eBooks, 200 plus, so more than 200 conversions. So more than 200 of the 1,000 plus people who have downloaded our ebook, these two ebooks, have turned into paying customers of ours. And only 20 of them, roughly 20, I think it was 22 or something like that, required a sales call. So it was pretty cool to see those numbers. I look at them off and on, but to kind of look at that zoomed out view is pretty cool. So this is essentially hands-off sales happening because of the content funnel that we built there with those ebooks. And then I'm sure, as you can imagine, the rest of these SQLs, they are being reached out to by our team. They're having conversations, or maybe they said, yeah, we're not interested, we went in another direction. But every single one of these SQLs has had that direct contact with our sales team as well. But to have content that is constantly producing quality leads, and in many cases converting on their own without even needing a call, it's pretty cool, and it's kind of feels like magic sometimes when you see it working. So it's pretty exciting. So the lesson here is to give motivated buyers everything they need to make their decision. So set up those bottom of funnel content pages, not necessarily the lead magnets, that's the other aspect of it, but set up those bottom of funnel content pages so that your leads can find everything they need, and then give them the opportunity to submit their email for that gated content, for the helpful, compelling. It needs to be good content, of course. Make it helpful, make it compelling, that they're willing to give their email, and then you can follow up with those leads. So to dig in a bit more to the process and kind of recap what we've talked about. First, apart from identifying your audience, you need to identify the pain points. You need to develop top of funnel content around those pain points and create bottom of funnel content that resonates with the pain points and ties into your offering. And then package that bottom of funnel content for lead generation. Opt-in form, strategic targeted pop-ups, optimized landing page that'll rank in search engine results, and that's where you can play around a little bit with those keyword research. But don't rely on it too much, because like I said, the two that we created, well, really the outsourcing one, it's not targeted for keywords at all. It's just mainly we were focusing on the pop-up, but the landing page does produce leads as well. And if you look at Ahrefs, SEMrush, all of that, it says zero search volume. So don't focus too much on that. And then if we kind of talk about it in action to sort of recap how we did it, identifying the pain points. So growing your business through outsourcing. That was a pain point. That's what people were telling us their pain point was. And here's some examples of all of the top of funnel content we have developed around that. So 5 reasons you should outsource your blog. The not so hidden value of outsourced hiring, why and when you should outsource the development of your WordPress sites, how outsourcing WordPress maintenance and support helps agencies grow, release your outsourcing fears and let your agency grow, why an outsourcing partner is superior to hiring direct, 4 reasons agency owners should outsource their copywriting, and then create bottom of funnel content that resonates with the pain points and ties into your offering. So that would be our complete guide to outsourcing work and growing your agency, and then packaging that content for lead generation. So gating it, put it behind an opt-in form, set it up with your CRM where you're applying a tag, build the strategic targeted pop-up. So on all of those top of funnel content and strategic pages on your site. So top of funnel content pages that relate to that, all those blog posts I just read out, this pop-up is going to show on those. And it's also going to show on the service pages related to this content. So the complete guide to outsourcing work and growing your agency, That's going to show on our dedicated services page. It's going to show on our dedicated developer page, dedicated designer page, dedicated copywriter, dedicated VA, on the pricing page. That's where this pop-up is going to show, so we can grab the emails of those people who are in the process of their making the purchasing decision. And then also go ahead and create that optimized landing page with the opt-in form, and enough content on it that it's going to rank in the search engine results. Because otherwise you're missing out on leads there as well, because they do come in through that page also. And don't forget the follow-up. So this is the email sequence I was talking about. Whether it's automated or direct outreach, the follow-up is essential. So if you're a one-person agency, you can set it up in an email sequence. If you have more resources or the time, then you can do some direct follow-up. Obviously, direct would likely be more effective, but at least you're keeping your leads warm until you have the time to reach out directly. So for our ebooks, we have an email sequence that's triggered whenever the ebook tag is added to that contact, and that sequence normally, obviously, first and foremost, delivers the content they ask for, and ask them for feedback too. So it's like, hey, here's the content you asked for, here's your ebook. Once you give it a read, would love to hear what you're thinking. And that's a good way to kind of try to keep the conversation going. And then after that, you can also set up all kinds of automations. Did they open it? Did they click to download it? If not, you can send them an email to remind them, hey, just want to make sure you didn't miss your ebook. And then a few days later, depending on actions they've taken, you can send another email that asks if they've been able to implement any of the strategies in the ebook. Share a case study at that point, right? So you know a little bit about them at that point because of what they downloaded. So they're looking at outsourcing, hiring, kind of bringing on freelancers. Share a case study about that so that they can relate to it and see how other folks are doing. And then a final email encouraging them to schedule a no strings attached discovery call to strategize ways that they can grow their business through outsourcing. So because we know that a lot of times this is a scary step for business owners, it's not a sales call, it's a strategy call. It's a discovery call to talk about their concerns, their whatever's holding them back from making the decision. And we lean on our years of experience and all thousands of conversations we're having with similar agency owners to help guide them in their decision-making process. So that's the presentation. I hope it was helpful and informative. Where you can find me is, I think I mentioned it earlier, but we do have the GoWP Digital Agency Owners Facebook community. We have weekly happiness hour calls there on Friday, so that's really the best place to find me. And then obviously we have GoWP.com, and quicklyhire.com is a new brand we have recently launched, so you can check that out too. So yeah, I guess I'll open up the chat and see if we have any questions here. And here we are. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And I can also put the link to the Facebook group if you are an agency owner and you're interested in joining us over there. You can join us over there. And I guess I'm on Twitter too. It's Emalihu, EMALIHU. So you can find me there as well. So yeah, any questions? Adrian, I see you're here. I think I'll stop sharing.
I am here. Thank you so much for sharing. High value stuff there. Did everybody have a good time? If you had a good time, say so in the chat there. If you learned something.
Yeah, it was fun kind of
Great
figuring
time.
out, looking at all the statistics from these lead magnets that we've had working on the website for years now, and seeing what they've been producing for us. Because I see it on a weekly basis. I'm always keeping an eye on it that way, but zooming out and looking at it was cool. So it was fun to walk through that.
Marco says it was a great walkthrough. Andy says he took 5 pages of notes. So
oh wow, awesome.
that's just frankly incredible.
That is incredible. It's great to hear. I'm glad it was helpful. If you have questions, post them.
All right. Great points. Jesse took tons of screenshots. Well, if there's anything else you'd like to plug, did you post all the links to the, you got the Facebook group there. What else you got?
Yeah, no, Facebook, if you want to hang out with us, if you're an agency owner, business owner, the Facebook group's a great place to find us. And yeah, we'd love to have you join us over there. And obviously, if either of those ebooks, I can post the links to those as well, so people can check those out. I'll grab those. If they pertain to you, you feel free to download them, or just kind of, you can check out how we put them up. But I'll grab the page. So we have a few more ebooks as well on this page. That's where you can see all of our ebooks.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Did you
Yeah,
have a good
thank
time
you,
presenting?
Adrian. I did. It was fun. It was great. I love presenting and sharing, things we've learned and things I've learned and helping out. So yeah, it was great. I've loved watching all the other presentations today too. A lot of great stuff today. So thanks for putting this together.
Wonderful. All right. So in 20 minutes is going to be the start of sort of like the last hour. And those are my sessions. So I am going at the end of the day, giving everybody else an opportunity first. If you want to come see my session, I'm going to talk about some actual Groundhogg stuff. There's not a whole about, there hasn't been much in Groundhogg presentation as far as Groundhog Day goes. So that's the last hour. It's just me. There's no 2 sessions, so everybody can come hang out with me for an hour or so, and that should be fun. Emily, you're welcome to join. Looking forward to seeing everybody. That's in 20 minutes. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Adrian.